for joining us on Envision today. We're with Dr. Brian Maher, the superintendent of Sioux Falls Public Schools, and students are finishing up standardized testing in the Sioux Falls School District. Typically a couple of hours of testing, maybe over a week's period, to really dig in and find out what our students know and really to assess our instruction as well. Is that the reason we do our standardized testing?
It is. I'll give you this analogy. All three of my kids were pole vaulters in high school, and every track meet they went to, they put the bar up at a certain height, and they had to see whether or not the kids could get over that height, and the higher the bar, obviously, the more challenging, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
But there was also a whole lot of work that went in during the week, for them to get faster, for them to get stronger, for them to get more acrobatic on the pole, those sorts of things that you have to do to get better as a pole vaulter to get over that bar. Well, one of the things that any standardized test allows us to do is see where the bar is that we can get over. And that's why we have standardized testing in our state and across our nation.
So why is it important that teachers have this information from students to find out what the students are learning?
Well, I think that's the key question in all of this, is what do the assessments tell the teachers about their students? Because it's all about that learning dynamic. It's all about helping students become better thinkers. And so if the information doesn't help our teachers and subsequently help our students, it really serves us no purpose. So back to the standardized testing, what does that do for us? In general, what it does is it tells us where our students compare to one another, to the buildings across our city, throughout our state, and in the case of the Smarter Balance, to many other states in the United States. So we can get a good feeling of how our students are comparing academically, whether you are in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Bismarck, North Dakota. It doesn't really matter. That test will be the same. So that helps us compare that way. It also helps us as we look from this year to last year, or a year from now, this year to next year, to see if we're experiencing the growth with our students over time that we need to see. So from that standpoint, the assessments really are important to us. I know there's always a worry of government overreach when it comes to testing, standardized testing specifically. And what I would tell people is that even if the mandatory testing went away, we would have to figure out a way to assess our kids. So I don't know if Smarter Balance is the best assessment ever, but I know it's one that's important to us, and one that I hope we continue to use, because we've got information now from a couple of years that we can actually use to help our teachers, help our students.
Right. In terms of scores, we typically get scores back in August, I think, and we'll just sort of assess what happens when we get the scores back. What changes do we make?
Right. We have some assessments that give us immediate feedback, and that actually helps us more than the delay from the time you take the assessment. If it's months before you get that information back, it's a little less helpful, but we still look at that over time to see, are we doing the right things in the classrooms?
And then I know that we typically have data retreats, and we're digging into the numbers, into the background, and saying, what are the areas of strengths of our students, and then making adjustments as needed.
True.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us today on Envision. We hope you've learned something about standardized testing in the Sioux Falls School District.